The Marine Corps Code of Conduct and the King James Bible.
I hate snakes, Chuck! I hate them! And may the Christian Lord guide my hand against your Roman popery! And they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
We're on a mission from God.
Entitled, you want answers!
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Maybe we should chug on over to Mamby-Pamby land, where maybe we can find some self-confidence for you, you jackwagon!
Coming to you live from his padded cell high atop Bethel Church, the most heralded, the most despised talk show in all of human history. This is the talk show hell hates. This is Pastor Mike Online.
Turn the microphone up. This is the talk show hell hates. Pastor Mike and I am online, and I am live with you today. Good to be here. Glad to be here. I was encouraged to be here. Let me see if I can find that again. It was just a simple little teensy weensy little email. Is it there? Let me look here. Let me see here. There. No, there. I'm probably just wasting everybody's time here, but oh yeah, here it is. There's this guy named Daryl, and he's got a brother named Daryl. Daryl. But he said, "Dear Pastor Mike, thanks so very much for Pastor Mike Online and in Christ Jesus, Daryl." And I said, "I love doing it," and I do. And I mean, I'm not getting younger. And some days I've got aches and pains and everything else that's against me, but I still enjoy doing it. Love having fun. And poking fun, even if it's at other people, or it's myself, poking fun at myself. I enjoy doing it, and I'm glad that you folks out there enjoy it. I'm looking at another email, and I'm going to just address it real quickly here. It is from a man named David. Only a man named David, only a little sling. Only a man named David, but he could play and sing. Yeah! He said to Pastor Mike, our vice president, and he's referring to J.D. Vance, converted from an evangelical Protestant to Catholic. His wife is Hindu. I'm sure not many MAGA people know this. Now, let me just, and I don't want to be, a jerk in what I'm saying here, and I don't think, David, that you were being that way. But let me ask you just a couple questions, just out of fairness. Number one, are you opposed to making America great again? Because I'm not. I think there has to be a nation in this world that has the ability to lead not be the boss of other nations, not rule over other nations, but lead other nations towards political truth, political responsibility, civil, or let me say it, civil morality. And so far I've not said anything about the Bible yet. But understand, I think that there has to be a nation like America that leads the world by its example and says to the world and to the people of the world, listen, you don't have to put up with and vote for slimy, dirty, rotten, filthy, money-grubbing, power-grabbing politicians all the time. It can be better. So I am for that. I'm for that 100%. Because if America gets to be that leader, it allows the gospel that you and I believe in to be preached freely, not just in America, but we can then go to all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. That's one thing that I believe in. And I absolutely believe that for the most part, the people that are leading this country have it at least turning in the right direction, even if it hasn't turned there yet. My goodness, we've only just had Trump in office in what? It's 2 months today. 2 months. All right, so there's that. I believe in making America great again. As far as I mentioned before, civil morality. A nation leading the world that says, let's find other ways of dealing with children whose parents, for whatever reason, don't want them, and let's show the world that we can do something with them besides murder them in the womb. I'm for that. 100% I'm for that. Now, as far as J.D. Vance's religion, and even Donald Trump's religion for that matter, there is a Chinese restaurant. There's a couple in this town. And one of them is called China One. And it's a takeout place. They used to have tables in there, but it's a takeout place. Now, I like Mugu Gai Pan. Yeah, that's a real thing. I like their Mongolian beef. I like I'm a big egg roll fan. My wife loves their crab rangoon. We both like their chicken fried rice, pork fried rice. We like their sesame chicken, other types of chicken dishes like that. But there's a couple items on the menu that there's no way I'm going to eat ever. I'm not going to try it ever again. Okay? Now, just because I don't like some items on the menu from that restaurant doesn't mean that I have to morally quit going to the restaurant. Okay? If everybody else loves their what is it? It's the chicken dish with the peanuts and the gravy. Cashew chicken. I'm not a fan. I think that gravy makes it greasy. I don't like it. And but I don't make a big issue out of it. I don't go there and try to force myself to eat their cashew chicken. I don't like it. There has never been in my lifetime a president that did 100% of the things that I thought needed to be done. There has never been that president. He has never existed, ever. If I were to put them in line, I would totally put Trump first, Reagan second, Lincoln third. I don't know who would be after that, but that's how I would stand up the various American presidents. Now, a lot of Southern people in this country still to this day think that Abraham Lincoln was the Antichrist, and nobody told God that he was the Antichrist because they believe that he stepped over the bounds of states' rights. Well, states' rights has a moral limit to it. And that limit was the ownership of human flesh. Slavery is wrong. It's always been wrong. Okay? That doesn't mean that everybody likes Abraham Lincoln, and that doesn't mean that I would probably like some other things that he did. I may not. And so, I appreciate you pointing out this fact. I've never made the claim that this is our great Christian president and our great Christian vice president. I have never made that claim. Pray for them. What you do is, if you don't like somebody who is in charge and you don't like what they stand for, then you pray for them. But I've already been through this with somebody that lives in the Netherlands, but they're originally from Iran, and he started coming down really hard on me before the election. And the man, I could not make him understand that a no vote against Trump is a yes vote for Kamala Harris. And that is unacceptable. That's a restaurant. I don't like any of the food at the Kamala Harris restaurant. I don't like anything. In fact, I think her food is dangerous. I think she violates so many health code things. I think the recipes are poisonous. And I think it can be proven that her recipes would be disastrous. But she would enforce that her restaurant would be the only restaurant way. And that's how I see it. I'm sorry that there always has to be somebody every 4 years that picks apart presidential candidates and says, well, they look at this issue over here in a favorable way. I'm not voting for that. If you don't vote for the best possible candidate, you're going to get the worst possible candidate. It's a guaranteed thing. So, David, I appreciate it. I really do. You wrote it and in a very respectful way, and I want to be respectful to you. But just please consider what I said. The election's over. They're going to be in charge for 4 years. And I'm probably not going to be in agreement with everything that they do. But I tell you what, I sure... I think that America has the ability to be the moral leader in this world right now, and this world needs morality leadership. It needs it bad. Other nations of the world need to know how to rise up and put politicians in place that actually do represent what the will of the people is. The motto of the state of Missouri, I remember this from our mandatory Missouri history training. We have to take a class on Missouri history. And it is Salus Populi Suprema Lex Esto. And what that means is, let the will of the people be the supreme law. In other words, self-government. And if you give me two candidates, one of whom converted to Catholicism and his wife is a Hindu, but he is going to lead this country and lead, let's say, the state of Missouri to the will of the people as our form of government, versus someone who says that they are an evangelical Christian, like Jimmy Carter did, and they are a Southern Baptist Sunday school teacher. That's what Jimmy Carter was. But they run on a ticket of expanded government, where government has more and more and more control over your daily life and over everything that you do. If you give me those two choices, I'll vote for the limited government every time. And I'll tell you why. Let's examine just for a minute the government of Israel while they were in the wilderness. And I hadn't planned on talking about this, but anyway, there was no president. There was no king while they were in the wilderness. There was no president. There was no king. There was simply the law. And that's it, the law. And the law was written to be the standard of how everybody should live and how they should treat how they should treat God and how they should treat their fellow man. Moses then was the judge. He wasn't a king, and he wasn't a president. He didn't execute the law per se. The law was already executed. It was enforced by God. And Moses spent all day long, every day, hearing court cases. But he kind of got overwhelmed, and Jethro, his uncle, came to him and said, Moses, you're not doing right. So he said, you need to pick out men and from every tribe and have men over thousands, judges over hundreds, judges over 50s and over 10s. In other words, you're going to end up with a system of limited local government. One thing I know about Illinois, right next door to us, is that the people who live south of the Springfield-Chicago corridor. Springfield is the capital of Illinois. Chicago is the machine of Illinois, if you know what I mean. And there is like a corridor between Springfield and Chicago of politicians, corruption, big business, large amounts of money, large amounts of swindling, you just name it. The stench of what a bad governmental system looks like is in the corridor between Springfield and Chicago, Illinois. Outside of that, you have a lot of rural areas where you have a lot of farms, a lot of farmers, a lot of people who farm, very simple people. Certainly not, when I say uneducated, I don't mean that they're dumb. I mean that for the most part, they didn't go and study. They didn't go to some university and study political science or anything like that. They might have studied agriculture. They might have studied, ways of, working in agriculture and expanding agriculture. But it's a different type of people. Those people are different in the way that they see how they want their lives to be. They don't want the Springfield-Chicago corridor telling them what to do and how to live their lives. They don't want that. And it becomes clear when they vote. You can always count on the counties that are outside of the Springfield-Chicago corridor to vote conservative, and the people inside that corridor to vote for liberal politicians who will vote for liberal policies. Because generally, if it's liberal, you can steal from it. Generally, that's how it is. So these people who live in these rural areas, they really don't want the majority of the people inside the corruption machine telling them how to live their lives every day. They want out. There has been talk recently, I'd say in the last 10 years, talk of splitting Illinois into two different states. Why? because those rural farm areas where Friday night football is the best thing they've got going, they are sick and tired of not getting a voice that represents them, because they get it. The majority of the people from Chicago to Springfield are going to vote for their cronies to put them in all the offices, and the people in the outside areas, they don't get a voice at all. It used to be that way in Jefferson County here. We lived in a district, a congressional district that included us in Jefferson County, part of St. Genevieve County, which is to the south, right along the Mississippi River, and the St. Louis area. Now, St. Louis is a liberal machine, and Richard Gebhardt won the congressional district vote every 2 years. He won. He kept winning and winning and winning and winning, and he was a liberal Democrat. Well, the people in Jefferson County didn't want him. People in St. Genevieve County didn't want him. Jefferson County is predominantly a Christian-esque county. St. Genevieve County is a very Roman Catholic county, and they don't vote for abortion or anything like that. And so we kept voting for these conservatives to be our representative, but the people in St. Louis would cancel our vote out every 2 years. Finally, they redistrict. And so now we have an entirely new district that we're in that better reflects the will of us here in Jefferson County, St. Genevieve County, and so on. And I like it. So I'm just a little political science teaching here for you. I think it's wrong to take any political candidate and pick their bones clean, looking for things to say that are wrong about them. Ask yourself the question: when has any state ever produced a winning political candidate that was a fundamentalist, King James only, Bible-believing Christian? Well, I will say this. I know Brother Reg Kelly, I know that his dad was a state politician, a state representative, and I know that his daughter has been elected, I think, 3 times now. She's in her 3rd term, I believe, to the Missouri State House of Representatives. And it's interesting that one of the things that they did when she won the first time she ran, when she won, the Republican Party of Jefferson City, the state capital, grabbed her up and put her in some of the best committee positions that you could get. And the reason being is they found out that, number one, if you put a woman in some of those situations like that, women generally are nowhere near as afraid to speak up and speak their mind about what really needs to be done and not taking any guff off anybody else. And number two, nobody wants to be seen yelling at and getting into an arguing match with a young woman in a political squabble or whatever it is. Nobody, I don't care how mean a liberal they are, nobody wants to be accredited with that one. And so they did. They grabbed her up and they put her in some very powerful seats. So anyway, all right, let's move on. Let's move on. I wanted to talk about dogs. I mean, gods. That's what I wanted to talk about. Let's see here. And this is going to go along with the Watchman broadcast. I recorded it yesterday. I have yet to take it home and start editing it, but I will tonight. I've been meaning to do this for quite a while, and it is it's going to be an expose of what is called Christian yoga. Christian yoga. And all of the things that are involved in that. But primarily, it is the alteration of the human mind. And it brings, doing this yoga and this meditation that goes with it, brings the person into an altered state of consciousness. The Bible's term for that, the New Agers' term for that, I think, is an alpha state or a delta. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look at my notes. But once they get them in that state, then that person is now a contactee, because in the process of them meditating, they take the doors of their mind and they unlock them and they open them wide up. Let me show you a verse in the scriptures. You probably already know it. Jesus said this. He said, we have to go back to get the context of it, or we'll be Roman Catholics in 5 easy minutes. Jesus answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say also unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against you. Is that what it says? Nope. Oh, you know what? I don't have that. We need it hooked up here. Where's the right hookup cord? That ain't it. That ain't it. Oh, this be it right here. Too many cords. Way too many cords in my life. Well, that didn't work at all. Try this one again. There we go. All right. It says, thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Not him, it, this rock. What is this rock? I believe that rock was what Peter said. When he said, but whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And so in those words right there, you have the rock of what the church is established on. It is established on the fact that Christ, that Jesus is the Christ, and he is the Son of the living God. And I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. And Jesus answered and said unto him, blessed art thou, so on. But he said, upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And so I want to strongly discourage everybody out there from being hypnotized or being guided into imagery when back in 2016, I think it was about 9 years ago, when I realized that, and my doctor told me, Mike, you're taking so much pain medicine that practically every day that you live without them, you're going through withdrawals and it's killing you. And I said, yeah, I can feel that. So they made me go to this clinic 3 days a week, 2 hours a day. And I sat and I listened to people, and it was good for me. Not only did I end up helping some people, but God used that to help me so that I could help others who have had addiction problems. And the guy that was leading my group, I mean, God set all of this up. The guy was I don't know what ministry he was in, but he had graduated seminary. He went to Bible college. And I'm going, are you serious? And so anyway, God used that man there to help me to kind of break down my fear of what I was going through. But then there was another guy, an older guy there, that when my group leader couldn't be there, he would take over. Now, there was instantly a great gulf fixed between me and this guy. And we didn't even have to talk about it. I knew it was there. And one day he wanted our group. He said, everybody just, put down your pencils and you're writing your notes and everything and your phones. And he said, I want you to just put your hands on the table and then close your eyes and concentrate on your breathing. Well, I know what that is. They want you to concentrate on your breathing. They call that mindfulness, but it's the opposite. They want you focused on one thing only, and they want you to fill your mind with that one thing. Generally, that one thing is going to be your breathing. Because in yoga, they not only teach you how to stretch. Well, did you know that since I was, like 3 months old, I knew how to stretch? I can do it now, see? Oh, that feels good. Get the blood going. Oh, I feel so much better. I don't need to be taught how to stretch. I don't need to be taught how to breathe. I've been breathing since I was 0 days old. Okay? But anyway, that's what he was. I knew he was going to lead everybody into a guided imagery. And I wasn't going to do it. So I whipped out I had a little pocket New Testament. I just reached down and started reading my Bible. And he said, are you going to participate with us? I said, I'm going to do my thing. And he had to be liberal. He had to be, I'm sure that your religion is fine for you. I mean, he had to be that, but he didn't want to be that. I think it made him mad that I was not going along with his, here, let's meet Captain Howdy, okay? If you don't know who Captain Howdy is, don't go looking for him. But anyway, he was going to lead all of these people into some happy place. And I already know where mine is. It's in heaven. But anyway, don't let anybody talk you into that for any reason. Now you might say, "Well, I'm a Christian. I'm gonna let God shield me from it." Don't do it. Don't tempt God into doing. Don't do it. Just don't. It's dangerous. You may get that. Let me just ask you a question. If you were in my shoes and you're there around this table with all these drug addicts and alcoholics and everything like that, and this group leader is going to go through a guided imagery session with you, what would be the only reason why you would go along with it with everybody else? What would be the only reason why you would? So that you don't get caught being a Christian. That would be the reason why. You wouldn't be singing, stand up for Jesus, ye soldiers of the cross." You wouldn't be doing that. And the only reason why you would go along with what everybody else is doing is so that you wouldn't be caught being a Christian and standing firm in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free, and be not entangled again in the, what is it? The yoke of bondage. And I just purposed like Daniel. I'm not going to eat the king's meat. Sorry. You can kill me. You can cancel me out of the class if you have to. But I am not going to do this. And folks, stand up for the Lord. All right, now back to Dr. This is Dr. Stephen Greer. I never would have thought the first time I watched the video, the press conference that he held, where he had all of these people. They was going to march them out across the microphone one by one to tell their stories. Some worked for NASA, some worked for the FAA, some worked for the Army, the Pentagon, and they were all disclosing their connection with the phenomenon. and they were all telling stories like, I can't remember the guy, but he was a cameraman and a film camera operator for the Army, and they were filming test launches of rockets, and they filmed this one rocket, and it made it up to such and such altitude, and it exploded. Well, they said, okay, that I think we got most of what we wanted out of this test. It was just a test, so they called it a success. Well, he runs the film, gets it processed, and gives it to his superior. And a couple of days later, he gets a call saying, can you and the guy that helped you film this, can you guys come down here in about, half an hour? And they said, yes, sir. So they went down to this room, and they were in a skiff, one of these silent rooms. And so anyway, they showed the film, and it showed the rocket. When it got to a certain altitude, this saucer came in, shot a ray on it, and it moved around it 3 different times past that, total of 4 times, and it shot a ray at the very top part of the rocket. Well, that thing came off, and the whole thing blew up. And they turned the lights on, and they asked the guy who shot the film, they said, was you guys playing around with this? Did you guys do this on purpose or what? And he said, sir, we didn't do anything to that. That's the first time I've seen it. He said, well, what do you think? He said, sir, I think you got a UFO on your hands. And all of a sudden, these 2 guys in suits, they stood up and they walked over to him and they said, this never occurred. This whole conversation never happened. And if it ever comes out, we'll know who it came from, and we'll know who to go after. And we don't put people in prison, stuff like that. He just threatened the daylights out of him, and told him that. And so that's the kind of stuff that Stephen Greer put up there on the stage, and everybody's, they've got all these people from the press, and they're asking questions and everything like that. And the first time I watched that, I thought, man, Greer, man, he's a great guy, man. He's gonna make them expose all this stuff and open it up so we can get the truth out of it. Then I find out that he's this guy, and I'm like, no. The guy's a wacko. I mean, I'm sure, he's got a college education. He's a doctor, an ER doctor. Those are smart people. Man, they got a lot of gray matter up here, and they use it well. But he's not using any of it now. Not at all. He has become the voice and the mouthpiece for these interdimensional devils. And what he's, when I picture humans contacting alien beings from other planets, I've got it in my mind of Lieutenant Uhura from Star Trek. Or, one of those squid-looking guys from Star Trek or whatever. That's who I've got in my mind, and how they're making a subspace, relay call, and that's how they're communicating one with another. I've never seen where Captain Kirk said, Lieutenant Uhura, can you get in contact with the Romulans? Yes, sir, I'm in contact with one of them now. What do you want to know, sir? I've never seen that episode. So the guys basically, he would be a John the Baptist for the Antichrist. He is calling them down to this earth. And just who is it that he's calling down here? Well, he's calling down here the ones that are going to show up. Can Stephen Greer communicate with ETs through meditation? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So, here's your ETs right here. I believe that the day that this event happens, where the dragon takes his tail, casts a third of the stars of heaven to the earth, and see, you have to believe that stars are not what Michio Kaku and all these other, Bill Nye, the science guy, and all these other guys. You have to believe that stars are not what these guys say they are. I mean, there's no doubt that they send out light signals and light waves. No doubt in my mind about it. But I think that we only see and can detect with various instruments just a portion of what these things really are. Because if I'm to believe what I'm reading here, and I don't have a problem with reading what I'm, believing what I'm reading here, that the dragon's tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. I think he got 1/3 of all the angels of heaven, and he cast them down to the earth. It tells me that these stars are angels. That's what it tells me. It tells me later on in Revelation 12:7 that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. You know, I'm going to go back to Scripture again. I'm going to show you what I think is a picture of that. And it's first place the chariot wheels show up in the Bible. First place. And look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. The wheels. 33 times. 33 times in 33 verses. Wow, that's a hallelujah. That's a big hallelujah. I'll make it louder. Hallelujah. There we go. So, here's Israel crossing the Red Sea, Pharaoh and his chariots. And I think people, anytime you see chariots in the Bible, I think you ought to think about them being these fourth dimensional, these angelic beings. Okay? We'll get to Exodus 14 in a little bit. Let's see here. Genesis. Where do I want to go? Was it Genesis, Exodus? No, let's see here. It was in Judges. Joshua, Judges. I think that's where it is. Let me do this. Let me go to Chariots of Iron. Here we go. Joshua. This is who I'm looking for here. Judges. Judges chapter 4. This is Sisera. The Bible says, and the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead. And the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin. Have you noticed, since I'm just chasing one rabbit after another, have you noticed that every time Israel was just really getting it good with God, they blew it every single time? Now, I want to do two things. I want to encourage you, but I also want to warn you. The Bible tells us that the reason why God tells us all these stories about Israel, in spite of what hyper-dispensationalists say, is that these things are written for our learning, not to act the way Israel acted. Don't do it. Don't do it. You don't want to do this. And but anyway, every time they got it going good, Israel did. And God's blessing them, and they got food to eat, and all the shows on TV are really good, and everybody's just eating it up, right? Well, then they almost automatically get involved with adultery, fornication, you name it. They get involved in all this wicked garbage. And here it is, they're doing it again. The Lord sold them into the hand. I bet that went cheap. Hey, Jabin. Yeah, I got about 800,000 Jews. Tell you what, I'll sell them all to you for $100. Jabin's like, are you serious? $100? $100? $100 American dollars? Well, yeah. Well, they're not worth anything to me. I mean, you might be able to, I don't know, build a few temples with them. I don't know, do whatever you want to with them. I'm sick of them. So that's what he did. He sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, or reigned in Razor. No, he reigned in Hazor. The captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. Why? For he had 900 chariots of iron. Dun, 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 dun. And 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. Now take a look at that for a minute. He said here that that it was Sisera. He was of the Gentiles. And so this is going to be like a picture of what happens in the future. The children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for they had 9. What is the number 9 for? It's the number for fruit bearing. Okay? So whether you've got 9, 90, 90 and 9, or 900, you've got something here about bearing fruit. In this case, we know that at the end of 20 years, that it's going to be Katie bar the door for Sisera. In other words, God is going to birth a Savior. And that Savior is going to be Deborah, the prophetess. They weren't expecting a woman, but they got one. And so anyway, she was the judge of Israel at that time, and God used her to bring a great victory to the people of Israel. But notice that the chariots were made of what? Iron. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, is what that means. Whenever you see a story like this, see if you can try to break it down into its parts, like understanding the number, understanding, like if you see iron there, what that iron represents. Does it represent the Iron Kingdom? Yes, I would say probably yes, it does. But anyway, I just thought I'd kind of throw that in there. Let's see here. Where were we going back to? Anyway. Oh, yeah, we were going to look at the wheels, weren't we? Man, I loved that. 33 times. He took off their chariot wheels. So think about it. Let's say that that this is Pharaoh. We know this is Pharaoh. And Pharaoh has got 600 chariots. And now you got to understand, a chariot was a big deal in warfare at that time. I mean, if you had an army of chariots, you had charioteers, you had the guys that drove them, you had guys that were, they could just sling spears and shoot arrows one after another and have some kind of shielding in front of them all the time where they could duck down, And basically it's the equivalent of having a tank nowadays. And or if we look at it in the light of Bible typology, the chariots that Egypt had at the time Israel goes into the Red Sea and God finally releases the Egyptians to go after Israel. Think of that as this coming event where Stephen Greer and all these other people are going to call down these extra non-terrestrial beings to this earth, saying to them, save us. Please save us from ourselves. I've listened recently to some podcasts, and they always talk about, when it comes to the UFO people, these are the people that are going to save us. These are the people that are going to make it better for us, and we're going to have better lives, and they're going to give us their technology. Yeah, that's what we want. We want their technology because we want to be able to to teleport, to transport people through teleportation. We want that, and we want we want everything from Star Wars and Star Trek all put together at once. That's what we want. We want that technology. Now, I don't know if you know what I believe about where man is headed with all this, but I absolutely believe that man wants to become God-like. And I think he figures that the UFO people are his best bet on how it's going to happen. And that comes from like Genesis 3. Ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Other places in the Bible, like in the Tower of Babel, let us build us a city. Let me go there. Mankind has it built into, well, I'll just say it. I think it's built into our genes. For those of you who can't tell, I'm wearing my jean bibs today. I decided to finally dress up, do this program. I think it's built into our DNA to exalt ourselves higher and higher and higher. This to me it's the only thing that makes sense to me right now. Like here, let's take the two things that mankind says as they get ready to build the city and the tower. They said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime for mortar. So we take those words there. That's 10 words. Then they say some more words, starting with go to. Go to, let us build a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. That's 36 words. When you add those words to these words, you get 46. And if you look at human history, every time man goes to build something, for some reason, what this man in this generation builds has got to be taller than what this guy in a previous generation was building. It's got to be. So the towers get hit 9/11, and I still, man, I still can't get that out of my head about, let me see if I can pull it up here. There was a brochure. Let's see, where would I find it? Yeah. There was a brochure. Are you sure, bro? Oh, yeah, I'm sure. That, let me see if I can type it in for you. Towers. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at this. Man, that's crazy. This was a brochure advertising the two towers. And it said, the closest some of us will ever get to heaven. Dun, dun, dun. That's just freaky. If you don't believe in spirits being part of conspiracies, then they don't make sense. When I saw that, I wasn't really looking at making some big deal about, the two towers coming down, other than, man, it's a terrible thing that happened. I mean, we got attacked. There's just no way around it. But I started seeing, what did we use for social media back then? Emails? Yeah, was getting emails from people talking about all these 11s that showed up at 9/11. And I didn't buy it for a while. But then when I looked at, I was just starting to get into the numbers in the Bible, and I looked in Genesis 11, and I saw them building a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and it was in Genesis 11, and 11's a number for confusion, and the towers made an 11, and they were 110 stories tall, both of them. That's 11 times 10. And I started seeing all these 11s, and I'm going, okay, I can't just pass this on. There's something here. And the more that I found, the more I just was convinced that there was a spiritual happening here. I do believe man has it in him to try to go higher than he ever has been. So think about Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin. Actually, the Apollo 13 guys made it. They traveled higher than any of the other Apollo astronauts. And it had to do with the fact that they were basically trying to save their own lives, and they had to slingshot around the moon, which meant that they had to take a wider and farther out trajectory around the moon to get the moon's gravity to throw them back toward the earth. And, you may look at that in a linear way and say, no, they're going farther out, but it's not really up, but it is. It's up. And so man has this thing about going higher up. Elon Musk, and okay, here's something about Elon Musk. I don't think the guy's a Christian at all. No kind. But I'm telling you, anybody who's got the nerve and the brains and the boldness to go through government programs and say, this is trash. We're wasting hundreds of billions of dollars going into the toilet, and we're going to stop it. I like that guy. That guy does not have to be a born-again Christian for me to like and appreciate what he's doing. Somebody get happy with me about it. And I like how the Democrats are responding to, yeah, Elon Musk he's a non-elected bureaucrat. Well, listen, 99% of the people that run our country in Washington, D.C. are non-elected liberal Democrats, bureaucrats. And they're saying, yeah, he's in it so he can make more money. The guy's the richest man in the world. Does he have to make more money? No. So I like him. I like him a lot. I hope he has a very successful job in our government, sniffing out all of the wasted money so that our taxes can go down, so that we can live much freer in this country than we are now. Yep. All right, where was I going here? Oh, anyway, but Elon Musk comes out the other day and he says, I want America to be the first people to set foot and plant the American flag on the planet Mars. And everybody goes, no, they don't do that. They go, oh, no, that was the Democrats. Some of them go, and then the rest of them go. But the good guys all go. You didn't know I had all those, did you? So we want to live higher and higher and higher. Let me throw this at you. Let's just pretend now that we actually do have access to technology, that we already figured some things out. Because there's no doubt in my mind that we have reverse engineered what would be known as alien technology. There's no doubt in my mind about it. It would be like I never did tell you what I was thinking about here about the wheels. Remember back an hour and a half ago when I was talking about how Satan's getting thrown out of heaven? I think that Exodus 14:25 is that. I think, what is it that makes a chariot go? It's the wheels. If you take the wheels off the chariot, what do you have? You have horses dragging a big metal box. Okay? And that's all you have. The horses can't pull it. It doesn't go very fast. You're wasting your time. And I think with God taking the chariot wheels off of these chariots here, while the Egyptians are in the middle of the Red Sea, basically he just trapped them there. And I think that once God has Michael kick off Satan and all of those angels, a third of them fallen down to the earth, the equivalent of taking their chariot wheels away from them would mean that they don't have access now to the heavens that they used to have. And this is not going to be okay with them, because they have this idea that if they can get back up into heaven, then they will survive. But if they don't get back up into heaven, then they won't make it, and they know it. But I think God is telling us here in Exodus 14 exactly what the plan is. He's going to kick them out of heaven. Them going, see, when you go down, you're going from here, you're going down to here. That's like people going from up in heaven down to the earth. And once they get down here, God's going to take away their ability to warp speed, to fly, to move, to be what chariots supposed to do. Now, How much time have I got? I'm gonna do something here that I've been avoiding for some time. But I have told some people here in church, and I think that the scriptures, bear this out. Okay? This has got a funny name to it. Okay? I call it Jews in Space. Okay? Man wants to go higher and higher and higher. Okay? The teaching of Kabbalah is that man, Jewish people, Jews, because in Kabbalah, Jews are the only ones who can do this. They don't have a problem with other people in the world practicing Kabbalah. They just laugh at them and say, you can do it all you want to, but you're not going anywhere. It's only for us. I mean, you're just way too uncircumcised, okay? So anyway, the Kabbalah teaches that every Jew makes it his point to reconnect with the Creator. Kind of like Star Trek the motion picture. And I'm being dead serious on this. To rejoin with the Creator. And that would mean them going up and the Creator meeting them halfway. Okay, and boy, I mean, that just brings in all kinds of movies and songs and everything. Okay, but let me read some verses to you, and these are verses that God specifically said to Israel, and He said it to them in a very precise way. And once you hear it, you really can't say, oh, it doesn't mean that. It does, okay? If I decide this afternoon when I leave here to go swimming down at the big river not too far from my house, and I call my wife and say, honey, I'm going swimming. Going swimming? Where are you going swimming? I said, I'm going in the big river. Well, you're crazy. Yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm not swimming. So I come home later. I'm freezing to death. I got blue skin. Clothes are all wet. She said, did you really do that? Yeah, I went swimming in the big river. Okay? No uncertain terms here. So let me read this to you. I will put it up on the screen because you're my friend. Okay? And I like you being my friend, and I want to keep you as my friend. I just don't want you to think I'm your crazy uncle that once he starts talking, everybody rolls their eyes. Oh, gosh, here he goes again. He said, I should actually make all this larger, shouldn't I? Now let us cheer the weary traveler. Let us cheer the weary traveler. There we go. Deuteronomy 30. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of where? Heaven. He didn't say earth. He said heaven. He said, if any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. God just said, if you're up in the heaven, that's where I'm going to get you. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. So Nehemiah chapter 1, but if ye turn unto me and keep my commandments and do them, though there were of you cast out unto the uttermost part of the heaven. Twice now, yet will I gather them from thence, and will bring them unto the place that I have chosen to set my name there. Twice now. Job 20, verse 5, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? 3 times. Isaiah 13:5. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Where are they coming from? A far country that God says is at the end of heaven. Jeremiah 15, and I will make thee to pass with thine enemies into a land which thou knowest not. For a fire is kindled in mine anger, which shall burn upon you. Now, where is the land that nobody knows about right now? Where is that? It sure ain't on this planet. We've looked. We've got Google Maps. There are thousands of people going through Google digitization of the entire planet, looking for land that no one's ever known about before. And it's not here. Jeremiah 16:13. Therefore will I cast you out of this land into a land that ye know not, neither ye nor your fathers, and there shall ye serve other gods day and night, where I will not show you favor. Where is this land that they don't know about? Jeremiah 16:15. But the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north. There is no land up at the north, by the way. There is no land. It's only ice and water. And from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. Jeremiah 17:14. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for they have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. Look at that. Cause them to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. That land does not exist here on this earth. Jeremiah 23:8. But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. Amen. He said he's going to get Israel from the north country. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Kidding. Chapter 31, for thus saith the Lord, sing with gladness for Jacob, shout among the chief of the nations, publish ye, praise ye, and say, O Lord, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child. Together a great company shall return thither. They shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. And I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a farmer to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Look at this now. Look at this. Look at this story. Here is a typological picture of God bringing Israel back from this land in the end of heaven somewhere, a planet. Mark 2, verse 1. And again he entered into Capernaum after some days, and it was noised that he was in the house, and straightway many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them, no, not so much as about the door. And he preached the word unto them, and they came unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy. He's got a fatal disease. He's a Jew, and he has a fatal disease called sin. He cannot move his 1, 2, 3, 4 limbs. Can't move them. They came unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was born of 4. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Think about it. Come on. Born of 4. And when they could not come nigh unto him for the press, they uncovered the roof where he was. And when they had broken it up, they let down. Look at this. You've got 4 angels bringing Israel down from heaven to the earth. And what does Jesus do? Verse 5, when Jesus saw their faith, he said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, thy sins be forgiven unto thee. This is Jesus forgiving Israel of her sins. But there were certain of the scribes sitting there, there was a bunch of independent fundamentalists, Baptists sitting there going, it ain't like that. Reasoning in their hearts, why doth this man thus speak blasphemies? Who can forgive sins but God only? There's not going to be any Jews in space. And immediately when Jesus perceived in his spirit that they so reasoned within themselves, he said unto them, Why reason ye these things in your hearts? Whether is it easier to say to the sick of the palsy, thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, arise, take up thy bed and walk? But that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins. Yes, and he saith to the sick of the palsy, I say unto thee, arise and take up thy bed and go thy way and into thine house. One more story here. The parable of the prodigal son. Do you know where he goes? Let's see here. He went into a far country. Right there. He went into a far country. Let's see. Look up, where is that far country at? I should have had some notes on that one in there, but 18 times. Let's Let's see here. Yeah, Isaiah 13:5. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven. Even the Lord. I love it! I gotta go. I've had way too much fun today. I've told you probably way more than I ever should have told you. But I figured, gotta let it out. What if I'm right? What if I'm right? Wouldn't that be the neatest thing in the world? Take a look at the Jewish flag. A star pointing up, or a triangle pointing up, and a triangle pointing back down. Take a look at it. Okay? All right. Hey, we did a feeding this week in Kenya. And pray for our land project, our office project. Pray for our water well project. We want to buy our own well digging machine. We want to buy it ourselves. That way we can dig a well and it not cost, $50,000. Just dig it for pennies on the dollar, okay? Or Kenya shillings on the dollar. But just help us pray about that, all right? I love you. You're the reason why I'm here today. God bless you. We'll see you. When it comes to what I just told you now, think Bible.